Okay, today we're going to talk about a situation found in many relationships and marriages, that of the nice guy. It's called the nice guy syndrome. It's talked about on a lot of different marriage blogs and discussion forums. So I want to read you from a blog post we did some time ago on my blog over at WordPress, larrysmusings.com over on WordPress. And so I'm going to shift the camera while I read, because you don't need to see me reading, and then I'll get back to you when I read this quote. So listen carefully and we'll give you that view to look at while I toggle over into the text I want to read you. Okay, the nice guy syndrome in marriage and relationships. Nice guys finish last is an old adage. A behavior pattern of many men that is discussed on a few marriage and relationships blogs is that of the nice guy, often described as NG for nice guy. The nice guy is the man who will be considerate of his wife and her desires and her wishes to the point of suppressing or sublimating his own needs and desires. Nice guys do not like conflict with their spouse and will make conscious efforts to avoid conflict. They aim to please. Nice guys seems to be okay with a lose-win relationship with their wife. Such men are described as being quote unquote sensitive and considerate. Needless to say, there are not a few women who like such a man, a nice guy, but not necessarily for who he is. They like someone who gives in all the time and gives them their way almost all the time. Some men do not realize they are playing the role of the nice guy. Okay, that's from my essay, The Nice Guy Syndrome in Marriage and Relationships, found over on WordPress. Okay. Okay, this is an important topic. Uh, Men, you got to consider how you are reacting with your wives. It's good to respect your wife and to love her dearly and take care of her and provide for her and protect her. These are all good things, and these are all masculine traits to be the provider and the protector of the woman you love, your wife, and the mother to your children, the mother of your children. But you got to be careful of getting into this situation where to be thought of as a nice person, to be thought of as a decent man, to win the approval of your wife and others who know you and your wife. You don't want to become a doormat. You don't want to be such a sensitive guy that you basically are afraid to assert yourself, afraid to stick up for for what's important to you and for your best interests. Ultimately, even within a marriage, it's going to be you, the individual, who is the one best able to stick up for and defend your interests and your rights. You can't rely even on a spouse to do that. Ultimately, each of us is going to have to look out for our own best interests as the final person to stick up for ourselves is ourselves. And that's just the way it is. That's human nature. That's the way it is in relationships. So I would just caution men to be on guard. Treat your wife well, but don't become this type of nice guy that gives in all the time just because you're afraid to assert yourself or you don't want to offend your wife by insisting on something that you feel is right. You got to assert yourself. You got to look out for your interests. And I think this whole nice guy thing is kind of a product of feminism in these past 50 years. Women have become so hypersensitive towards in dealing with men, so critical of men that men now are feeling they have to go the extra mile and give in excessively to their wife, pandering to their wife. A relationship should be a marriage is a partnership, and it should be based on mutual respect, and both spouses should be equals. Now, I know that doesn't happen in every marriage. There's always give and take, and one spouse usually it's never 50-50, it's 70-30, 60-40. But when it gets to 80-20 or 90-10, where one spouse is getting their own way and dominating the other, that's a problem. So keep that in mind. Don't be a nice guy. Love your wife, treat her decently, but don't be in this situation where the wife's views are dominant and you're so cowed by feminism and this leftist nonsense out in the toxic culture that you think you have to avoid conflict at all risks, at all costs, and cannot assert yourself. So don't be a doormat for your wife. Don't be a nice guy. Be a decent, loving husband. Be a masculine man, and don't be cowed, by a domineering wife, trying to please her. So just keep that in mind. You can read the whole essay, which goes into more at length over on WordPress.com, on my blog, larrysmusings.com. Okay, thanks.